Welcome to the Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva, and today we're going to get some insight on how women can go to college through soccer. And my guest today is Drayson Hounsome, and he's from Rider University. He's the head women's soccer coach. So welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So usually I start out my guests where they went to college. So where did you go to college?
I went to a place called Loughborough University, which is in the middle part of the UK. It's a big sporting institute, 15,000 plus students, excellent place. And it's really, it's an elite performance centre as well now. So a lot of coaches have come out of there. So I was fortunate enough to go there. I spent 3 years there,
Wow.
91 to 94, and then graduated with a sports science degree. Out of there, and that kind of gave me a bit of a chance to get into coaching as well.
And now, did you go there for soccer as well?
The setup in the UK is slightly different,
Okay.
or at least it was in the 90s. It has changed now, and there are scholarships and stuff for sport. But back then, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So I knew I wanted to get into coaching,
Okay.
and it was the main place. If you're an athlete, that's where you wanted to go.
Yeah.
So I did. I played my first 2 years there, and then but it's not the same. It's not the same as playing college in the States.
They do more of a national team and level B.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a top player, you've at 15 or 16, you've already signed to a pro club, so that you're not going to college. So the top players in the UK are not going on to university, so it's a lower tier to start with, and there's still some people that do go on and make a job in the professional game, but most people who are going on to the university level are going on to study something else. So
wow. So now you went to college there. How do you come to the United States?
I was fortunate at the like I said, the university I was at is a big sporting institute. So a lot of coaches were coming out of there and still are coming out there. And at the time in the late 80s, early 90s, the soccer camp industry was massive in the US.
Okay.
And one of the biggest companies in the country, came and did a lot of recruiting to Loughborough. And then obviously more companies developed in the US, and more coaching companies came and recruited to Loughborough and other universities. So I was fortunate. I came over in actually the summer of '93 was my first summer. So I'd done my coaching license in the UK, and that was a requirement to come over and coach. And then I came over and was fortunate enough to work with an organization called Noga Soccer, which was based in New York. Used to be a company called Long Island Soccer Camps, and I worked there, full time for 10 years. So
wow.
It really allowed me to coach every day, be around a tremendous group of talented coaches, learn from each other.
And did you get elite kids at these camps that they would have?
The camp industry in the 90s was primarily more about giving, obviously it's the camp business. So they're going away, instead of going to a sleepaway camp, you go and do a specific sports camp, which a lot of sports still do. The camp industry for soccer's changed slightly. Every youth team has a professional trainer now, so they tend to be more the ones running the camps.
So it could be anybody that went to these camps.
Correct. So I don't know, we would run 10, 12 weeks of summer camps, so that who knows the players that came through. I was definitely fortunate enough to coach and train a lot of great kids along the way.
So now, how did you go from there to finding Rider University as a coaching?
I mean, I was once again I was in New York and Long Island for I guess 12, 13 years, and 2001. I got an opportunity at Long Island University, the CW Post campus, which was a part-time coaching position. So it allowed me to continue working full-time for Noga Soccer, which was the soccer organization, while now getting an introduction into the as a head coach in the college world. I'd been an assistant coach at another college in Long Island, Malloy College, for 4 or 5 years before that. but that allowed me my first chance to be a head coach at the collegiate level, at the D2 level. And we were very successful. We were lucky. It's a great school, as part of the LIU system.
Yeah.
So we had, multiple good years and top 25 in the country at the D2 level and going to the NCAA tournament, all the things that you would want, winning conference championships.
Yeah, great.
I never really expected to leave and was not in my thoughts to leave. My perception of New Jersey was only what you see when you came over the bridge or through the tunnel. So it's like, why would I want to go to New Jersey for? And then 2007, we had a really good year at CW Post. We lost in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament on penalties. Wow. Finished 17-1-3, so just one defeat all year. So opportunities then arise once you've had good years, and the opportunity opened up at Ryder, and a friend of mine was actually an assistant for the men's team.
Okay.
So he kind of told me about it. And then when I came to visit and I saw, how much more support there was for the athletes at the Division 1 level compared to what we were doing at the Division 2 level, it was tough to leave, but it was a no-brainer really in terms of, moving forward with coaching at the college level.
So you left in 2007 to be the head coach?
2008, yeah, 2008. I think it was spring of 2008. I joined Ryder.
So the name of the show is Secrets of College Planning. So is there any type of, not so much secrets, but is there a process that a head coach at a Division I program like Ryder University, what they look for in women's soccer players to come to college? Is there certain things that you look for?
Yeah, I think it's definitely different for each institution. You have to find your niche, what works for you. When I took over at Ryder, it was primarily all girls from New Jersey. I think there was one from Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And we were good. It was a solid program, but it wasn't necessarily at the level that it could compete for a championship at that point. Right. So then you kind of figure out what do we need specifically to Ryder to be successful? What can we do that maybe the other schools in our conference can't do? So I think each program based on their conference, who their opponents is, coaches are looking at that. Okay, what athletes do I need to bring in for my program to be successful? And I obviously had quite a good level of success with international students at CW Post. So that was obviously a natural for me being from overseas that, I can recruit players within the conference that maybe other schools within our conference aren't able to get. So,
so do you look at grades? Do you look at specific skills?
The first thing we look at is can they play? Are they at the level that we want to win a championship? Every player we look at, that's the question. Can we see this player playing in a team that wins a championship? If the answer is yes, then where do they fit in academically? So we see a lot of players that are at the level that we want to win a championship, but maybe academically they don't fit in. More often than not, the case when we're recruiting in the US is we'll see players. This player can help us win a championship, but Notre Dame, North Carolina, USC also think they can. Yeah. So obviously we're not competing with those schools. Right. So it's finding the niche of athletes that you're able to attract and get. Right. And then seeing, where are their academics? Can they succeed? All right, are they going to be able to achieve academically at Ryder? We feel that they have the talent. Can they achieve academically?
And what's the recruiting pool? Is there an area that you recruit a lot from? Is it the whole country, the whole globe?
It really is, yeah. Yeah, it really is the whole globe. Something else we've had, which just comes from experience and where you get your success from. We've had success with players that are from slightly further afield, whether that means they're more independent or they grew up a little bit quicker. So we've had a lot of success with players like that. Obviously, my connections in Long Island still exist. You know, so Long Island is a big recruiting area for us. Right. It's also the largest youth soccer league in the world. So in terms of a pool of talent, there's a lot of great players.
So do you go out and visit the kids there, and do you go to the high school games? Is there more of an outside activity?
It's pretty much all club now within the women's game at the level that we're talking about. There's something called ECNL started within the club setup about maybe 5 or 6 years ago now. So it's elite clubs within the country. So for example, in New Jersey, there's two clubs have ECNL status. In Long Island, there'll be 2 clubs. In Southern California, maybe there's 3 clubs. So all those clubs come together and compete against each other. So they tend to attract the better players on those.
And those are the kind of places that you go and
those, yeah. So we'll be in San Diego this weekend, where the New Jersey teams are there, the California teams are there. So they're all there for 3 days for us to evaluate and assess.
So a daughter that's looking at the high school level now, that's something that they might want to do, is they go into something like that. But it's not the only thing.
It's not. It's going to give them a lot of exposure. Yeah. And for a small school like us, it can be challenging because there might be a local girl from Mercer County who ends up playing, say, on Match Fit, which is the team. Yeah. And because now she's getting this national exposure, she's getting exposed to 1,000+ NCAA coaches. Where if she was on on a local team, we would be the only ones to see her, and maybe we would have a better chance of pulling that player in. But no, there's multiple levels. The structure in the youth game, boys and girls, is fairly well structured. So you can get good exposure at the ECNL level. There's the MPL level, and obviously maybe there's slightly lower college levels. Did they do anything high school level wise? I mean, do any of your assistant coaches go out to the high schools and watch some of the games? We don't, just because of staffing. We don't have full-time assistants, and obviously the high school season locally is the same time as the college season, so it's almost impossible. During this fall, it's almost impossible to do anything apart from focus on the team and preparing and evaluating the team for the next and game.
So how many girls do you recruit, and how many scholarships or money is there available for girls soccer at the college level?
There is a good amount, but obviously with so many females playing, it's very challenging to get. So you're allowed a total of 14 full scholarships at the Division 1 level. Division 2, it's 9.9.
So you break them up at certain things?
Yeah, equivalency. So if you have 28 players and you have 14 full scholarships, technically 28 players could get half a scholarship each. That's the most that you're allowed. We're not anywhere close to that. We're just over 5 scholarships. So it's a challenge for us to compete with those schools that have the 14 full scholarships. So.
And what's the league that Rider University is
we
in?
play in the MAC, which is the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference.
And what are some of the schools that you're playing
against? It's all Northeast schools, good academic schools, and it's good because you don't really have to travel that far, so they're not missing a great deal of class time to go and play. So there's us, Monmouth, and St. Peter's in the state. You've got Manhattan, Iona, just going further north, Siena, Marist, got Fairfield and Quinnipiac in Connecticut, and then all the way in Buffalo, Niagara, and Canisius. Oh, wow. So it's a good competitive D1 conference for sure.
So now you've recruited a bunch of girls. They come to the school. What can these girls expect when they come to a Division 1 program? Because a lot of parents out there have this notion of, it's all about soccer and it's nothing about the grades and the school itself. So what do you say about that? I
mean, I think it does depend on each program and each school and the level that you're competing at. We're a mid-sized, mid-major school in New Jersey, and we've got players who have aspirations about playing professionally, and we encourage those who have those aspirations to pursue that after graduation. But 95% don't. 95% will be going into something else, and Rider's very good for the sciences, business, education. So most of the players that we have, that's their focus.
So these girls are now at your school. So what's their practice schedule like? What's the yearly routine that you give these players?
They come in around the first week in August. So, for example, this year I think it's August 7th they arrive. Okay. Classes don't start until September 7th, so we have them for a month, which is really good. You know, we're more the philosophy that less is better. So we practice once a day for about 2 hours. We really monitor the players in terms of their freshness for practice and making sure they're not getting fatigued and potentially getting injured. So we do a lot of team building during that month. It also means when we do train, the intensity is of a high quality. So that takes us through till school starts September 7th after Labor Day. We've usually played about 4 or 5 games at that point. And then we just train once a day for an hour and a half. And then, you know, we have
the season starts.
The season starts, and then we have games usually a Wednesday and on a Saturday. So usually the local games are on a Wednesday, so they don't miss classes. And then on a Saturday if we have to travel. So we miss very few classes. The actual time on the field is probably less than 20 hours a week. Now obviously they have to go to the training room and all that stuff, and treatment afterwards adds up to their day.
So this takes them until what, November?
Hopefully, yeah. So this year obviously we played in the NCAA tournament, which I think took us through to November 15th. Wow. We were out in Seattle for that game. You know, our goals is to play keep playing a little bit longer. Sure. But yeah, after the emotional roller coaster, which is the college season, we pretty much shut them down. We don't do anything. So the 2 or 3 weeks building into their finals, they just focus on their academics. Right. And then obviously they go away for winter break. They have a program to follow for winter break, which just keeps them ticking over. Yeah. And then when they come back the 3rd week in January, we really kick in with our indoor training, which once again is only 7.5 hours a week, but it's intense. So the intensity of each of those sessions is high. But in terms of commitment, in terms of...
And is there a spring season then?
Yeah, the spring season for us starts after spring break. So we break it up into a 6-week training block prior to spring break, and then we're in a 5-week training block from spring break until beginning of May.
Do you give them a summer regimen to go through?
Then they have a summer program which starts around the beginning of June and lasts for about 7 or 8 weeks to prepare them for pre-season.
Wow, that's a all year round
sport. Yeah.
So they do have to get focused on this is what they want to do when coming to college. Yeah,
I mean, I think we do that in the recruiting process. So we're only bringing people into the program who that's what they want to do. It's not even a thought that they have to focus in. That's naturally they want to go out and work out. We almost have to hold them back, so they're not overtraining. Yeah, so it's a good structure for them, and obviously we see the progress from year 1 to year 2 all the way through to when they graduate.
And what's the process for the girls? I mean, do they go through an interview process? Do they go through a tryout process?
Probably for 75% of the student athletes that we recruit, we've gone and we've identified them. So they've never heard of Ryder, they might have never heard of Mercer County, so we'll identify them and do our best to get them on campus whenever we can. We have several California girls and Miami girls on the team, so it's not as easy just come for a visit. Wow. We really have to work on scheduling those trips. Yeah. And obviously the same thing, we have a girl from New Zealand, a girl from Indonesia, so they're not just popping over for a visit. Yeah. And then for the other, about 25% are local, so it's a little bit easier.
So they can
for
come
those.
and visit.
So they can come and visit. And then there's a small number of girls that will contact us. We have a large number of girls contact us, and we do our best to try and evaluate and assess as many of those as possible. And probably like 20-25% end up with, say, that girl's really good, we'll go and watch her then play as many times as we can within the NCAA rules. Maybe we invite them to a clinic. We do several ID clinics, which have proven successful for us to really, okay, this girl told us she was a centre back, but we're not recruiting a centre back. But she comes to a clinic,
so
and maybe
it comes down to the position that you need at that particular year. So girls are graduating, other girls are coming.
Correct. Yeah. So they might have played centre back for their school, but at the clinic we can put them right back and say, okay, this is actually a really good player. Let's maybe for the first year she plays right back, and then she transitions into centre back or another position once that player graduates from what we have.
Yeah, that's fantastic how you've already identified everybody, so the process is streamlined for you.
Yeah, it seems it's a lot of work, but it's simple really.
Yeah. So now about the team itself, you've been there since 2008. Can you tell the audience, how the team is doing from 2008 until now? Yeah,
we've done really well. When I took over, the program had a few years of not being successful, so we had to change things and change the culture a little bit. But now we've had last five consecutive winning seasons. I think there might be only 2 programs at Ryder that's had that. This past year we won the conference tournament for the first time in program history, which is really a big achievement for a school with the funding that we have. When we're playing schools that have significantly more scholarships and stuff, and we did it with the youngest team in the conference. We pretty much had freshmen and sophomores playing.
Wow! So
one
you got a good
junior.
team going for the future.
So the next 2 or 3 years are really, really exciting.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of success, and obviously that success means we do get a lot of more girls contact us.
Good.
So hopefully we can keep the success that we've had going, and go that for the next 10 years or however long.
Yeah. So now is it similar to other sports where the girls? Do you go to the girls' home and talk to their parents, or pretty much everything comes to the school?
Yeah, I mean the way it is, unfortunately, with women's soccer, is the recruiting happens before you can even talk to them.
As early as what, freshman year of high school?
Yeah, I mean, I know like some of the schools that we played, the school we played in the NCAA tournament have done, almost finished their 2018 recruiting class. So really, like from us, we're right now identifying sophomores. So we can't communicate with them, we can identify them. If there's a player that we think is talent, we can reach out to their club coach and let them know. So we can't talk to them off campus until towards the end of their junior year.
Right.
And by that time they've already committed. So usually the coach now acts more like an intermediary person, and they'll sort out getting the student prospect on campus. Once we're on campus, we can talk to them. So, for example, we'll get them on campus in their junior year. We still can't call them or anything like that. We can email them at that point. So it's kind of limiting for us.
Under the rules.
Yeah. So there's no official visits, because you can't do official visits till your senior year.
Right.
And so a lot of the financial burden of visiting schools in women's soccer falls on the family, unfortunately. So it's very different to some of the other sports. But a lot of the
girls at that level, they're picking schools sophomore, junior year, pretty much.
Yes, I mean, certainly from what we're finding, it's not driven by ourselves. It's being driven by, the student athletes are contacting us, come and watch us play. Freshmen, sophomores. And there are so many programs, between D1, D2, and D3, there's well over 1,000 programs.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of places and a lot of competition for those same top players.
So you probably want to tell the parents out there, the earlier better of knowing what they want.
Yeah, I mean, if they can, we try and slow the process down and make sure, once we identify a player that's good enough for us, we don't want them to come to us unless they want to come. So we want them to go and visit other schools. And so they know 100% in their heart that Ryder's the best fit for them. So maybe we lose 1 or 2 players, but it means the players we get stay. Our retention rate is outstanding. You know, everyone comes and stays and graduates. Yeah.
Great.
We tend to have a smaller roster, so we have an inclusive program. So everyone does everything. So everyone travels with the team, everyone gets dressed with the team,
Great.
Everyone warms up together. Some programs, you know, maybe have 30 players and they only travel with 20, so 10 are at home. So I think that keeping everyone together, everyone connected, helps with the retention rate for sure.
Great. Well, we're coming to the end of our show.
Cool.
So what I usually ask my guests is, what type of advice can you give to the parents that think their daughters are good enough to go to a Division I program? What kind of advice do you want to give them?
I'd say probably the similar thing is just to be proactive. You know, to reach out to the coaches. You're not pestering them, even if they can't respond back to you. It's not because they don't want to. It's because the NCAA rules. So sometimes, and obviously, if you're talking to a Division III coach and Division I coach, those rules are different. So be proactive. Get schedules out. Tell the coach that you're interested in their program, because it is very hard for the coach at the D1 level to get out and evaluate and assess everybody. But you know, if someone keeps emailing us and tells us how keen they're on their program, we're gonna find a way to assess that player, because we don't want to miss a good player.
Right.
And I'm sure most coaches are in the same position. And then if your daughter's good enough, then she's got to find the right fit for her.
Great. Well, thank you very much for
coming
to the show.
Thank you. Been a pleasure.
Yeah. So you've been watching The Secrets of College Planning. I'm your host, Anthony Uva. Until next time.